All right. Thank you, Trent Dardick, for being with me today for our Mighty Mondays. And I guess to give you a little introduction, you're a professional soccer player at the St. Louis Ambush, active member of the St. Louis community. You volunteer, support multiple charities, and I found all of that on your Instagram. And it seems like you do a lot. And then you also mentioned on your Instagram that you are a child of deaf adults, which I'll be honest, it's kind of a concept that I've never really thought about until I visited your page and began to kind of learn more. And I guess kind of my first question going off of that would be, in what ways did that affect your life and shape you into who you are today and the work that you do? I know that's kind of a loaded question, but
Mega big question. No, that's all right. Yes, so child of deaf adults means that both my parents are deaf. So my first language was sign language.
right.
A lot of the speaking didn't come really until later, till I was hanging out more with cousins and stuff and going to school all the time. I couldn't really mimic my parents' voice, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
uh, it was a little bit of adjustment, but the way it translates to soccer though is that I'm really good at reading body language, and I communicate better with my body and showing body language. So I just feel like it's one big conversation that I'm having out on the field of like where to go, how people are, putting their like I can see the weight and their balance in a certain way, and I can tell, either where they want the ball or how they're defending me. And I feel like I got a little bit of an edge there. They were both athletes. They have their own Deaf Olympics, and my dad was the captain of the water polo team,
Oh,
and
wow.
he's in the Hall of Fame for swimming. Yeah, and I that like that would be a cool way to, to be an athlete. And then he probably was bummed that I didn't do water polo, but I like soccer, and he's gotten around to it. He starts coming to my games now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's accepted the professional soccer playing now. I'm sure, yeah, a little bit of a letdown for sure. But
Yeah, like water polo is super rough. And like I remember one game was really rough or something, and he kind of looked at me, he was like, I think you might be playing the rougher sport here. I was like,
oh yeah,
wow, that's like when your
that's an
dad
honor.
is proud of you. Like it's like, wow.
That's so well, that's awesome the way that that kind of translated and something that you wouldn't really think about unless you were like in that situation and using that. So that's so cool. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know, that was kind of I know that was a lot of a big question, but you answered that very well. Love to hear
Well,
about
thank
that. And I
you.
guess kind of going into, sports and professional soccer, and you do a lot of like work in the community. When did you become a professional soccer player? And then kind of when did you start getting into volunteering? What came
Right.
first?
So again, two very big things. I'll take out one at a time. Does that sound good?
Yes. No, yeah,
All right.
break it
So
down. Break it down.
that's all right. So I was playing at SLU High and started playing like almost my senior year. I don't think I was allowed to, but I was doing like some second division
Uh-huh.
play. It's like Ambush had like a second division team. One was called the Piasaw, the other one was called the Adrenaline. So it was kind of like a way to bring me into the team, like to get familiar with the players, even familiar with the game. Like I play outdoor soccer too, but indoor soccer is you have to learn the game a little bit. It's like ice hockey where you have the boards and subs on the fly. It's a whole thing.
Right.
Um, so I was playing out of high school, and then it was during the recession. So I went to Mizzou. I think I wanted to go to Indiana at the time,
Uh-huh.
but I went to Mizzou just to get my education. And so I would be traveling back and forth, like on the
Wow.
weekend, winter breaks, every little break I could get, I was like coming back to play. And then my sophomore year of college or something like that, it was like 2010-ish.
Hmm.
I started like my own charity because I was like a college kid,
Wow.
didn't have like a lot of spending money. But like I kind of felt content in terms of like I knew what I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, how can I kind of start now? Because I'm like sitting at school writing all these essays and stuff, and I'm like, I wanted to relate it to something. So I started picking up the lost and found bins at different facilities. So there's a lot of sports facilities that have kids that leave their water bottles and everything like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
So we just
yeah.
found a place for those to go. Yeah, and a lot of times lost and founds go, you know, unused.
Yeah.
And so that was a good way at least to get me involved straight away. And then you start partnering with different, you know, uh, bigger nonprofits here and there and doing events.
Right.
Like right now we're working with Komen a lot. We just had our walk for the cure, and then yeah, a lot of the donations go to Feed My People, which
Mhm.
takes care of a lot of South County and Jefferson County here, in St. Louis. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been going great. So I think that's professional soccer, and then how that worked.
Okay. That's the timeline. That's the timeline.
Yeah,
Well, that's awesome work to be hearing, and also just such a smart thing to do. You never really think about, oh yeah, the lost and found, and where does that go? A lot of times it just gets thrown out, and then just like a small idea kind of just branches out into bigger and bigger things. Yeah.
yeah.
So that
When you grow up a broke kid, and you see the lost and found has nicer stuff than what you've got on,
right.
start eyeing. You're like, if that's there in a month, that's my new shirt.
Right. Yeah, I'm taking that in. Give it a home. Yeah, give it a home.
Right.
Well, I guess I kind of answer, yeah, being a professional soccer player and being a community mentor like member, that's kind of how it intertwines. You find these ways to while you're playing soccer at a soccer facility, be like, oh hey, that's a way I can help the community. So that's really awesome. Um, and so my kind of like last question, I know this is a quick interview, but uh, at Mighty Cricket, we kind of our saying is eat clean, live mighty, with an emphasis on living mighty, doing everything you can to achieve your dreams or your goals, even when it can be challenging. And I would ask you, in your everyday life, how do you strive to be mighty?
I'm glad you asked, Maggie. Yeah, I love described it, Mikey. No, I think aligning with what Mighty Cricket is going after here is that, you know, every little bit counts, and when you're performing at a certain level, even something as the food you put in your body is really affecting your day to day stuff. So I think moving to the cricket protein powder as opposed to some of the more conventional ways, a lot of guys can't have dairy before they do
Right.
sports. That's not a good way to do it.
Yes, no,
And
I
then
understand that.
yeah, and then there's a lot of recovery that needs to happen as well. So I mean, the more people focus on what they're putting into their body, you know, it just made sense. And I mean, having something so small be such a big effect on my performance has been
Right.
so I've been a huge supporter since day one, and I love to live mighty. You know, yeah, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. But that's how soccer players are,
Yeah.
and I feel like we'll out there on the field. You know.
Yeah, no, of course. That's what we aim to do here at Mighty Cricket, make everybody feel mighty. Would love to hear it. Love to hear the support. Glad that we can be a part of supporting you. And just want to say, I guess, ending off on that note, thank you so much, Trent, for doing this quick little interview with us. And yeah, and if you have any final remarks or anything you'd like to say, but besides that,
No, thank you, Maggie. Yeah, this is great. I know we're getting back out of the pandemic, so if you guys make sure you get caught up on the Cricket Challenge and all the different recipes and stuff that are on Mighty Cricket's Instagram and Facebook, and you can create your own recipes as well. So make sure you check that out.
yes, please do. All right, awesome.